college at UC Berkeley studying environmental policy, I thought I had all the answers about how to save the planet. I'd walk around campus and I would see people tossing their plastic bags and bottles into the trash instead of the recycling bin, and I would feel this surge of frustration. Don't they know better? Don't they care? But then I'd go home to my family in the Philippines, where my Lola, my grandmother, would weave plastic bags into purses for me. Not because she read an article about upcycling or attended some zero waste workshop, but because that's what made sense with what she had. My Lola was reusing and remaking things every single day. But stories like hers often get overlooked as a climate solution. That's when I realized the gap in getting people to take action isn't just about knowledge. It's about feeling seen. Here's what I kept getting wrong when it came to communicating about the plastic crisis. I thought that if we just gave people more information, more statistics, more shaming, more heartbreaking images of wildlife choked by plastic, they'd change. But information without connection doesn't create change. People are gonna tune you out. And the deeper truth, people are not the problem. Broken systems are. I, like many of you, are just making decisions each and every day based on the choices that I've been given. Our current profit-driven economy creates convenient options, affordable options, but they're also the most wasteful ones. I knew that if I wanted to make a real difference, I needed to tell new stories, ones that could inspire people towards action and also help them rethink about the systems that we live within. So after college, I set out on a journey to become an environmental storyteller. But truth be told, I couldn't find my place in traditional environmental organizations. So I built Brown Girl Green, my media platform that was focused on telling stories about climate solutions that actually feel human. I was telling stories online about heroes like my Lola, people who were really making change in the world. And I had people commenting, wow, I thought I wasn't green enough, but me and my family do some of the same exact things. And when I would say that I was so scared and felt alone about taking action on climate change, thousands of people said I thought I was the only one who felt that way. That's when it became so clear to me that the missing ingredient when it comes to effective communication isn't more data, it's more heart. I then decided to build a job platform, Green Jobs Board, with my best friend, not just as a job site, but as a community to open doors for those historically excluded from the climate conversation, yet most impacted, to find meaningful career paths to help the planet and also put food on the table. We reach hundreds of thousands of people with opportunities, specifically creating spaces for women, Black, Indigenous, people of color, formerly incarcerated folks, and more, to discover apprenticeships, job placements, and resources. And we did all of this not with some fancy tech, but because we were rooted in community and connection. Before a single plastic bottle is ever made, if we're going to address the plastic crisis and the climate crisis at large, then we're going to need a culture shift. We need storytellers, scientists, teachers, policymakers, people who can authentically connect and meet people where they're at. Because real change doesn't just happen in the policy room or the board meeting. It happens when climate solutions can feel personal, imperfect even, and touch people where their jobs are, their health, their sense of belonging. And that is when systems change can actually begin, when people feel ownership of the story, when they can actually see themselves as part of the solution, then systems can shift. So if you're someone in this audience today who feels like they want to solve the plastic crisis, then I'm gonna need you to ask yourself, am I leading with heart? Am I communicating in a way that makes people feel seen? To the teacher, teach your students how to repair, reuse, and reimagine their items. To the parent, show your children to value community and connection over consumption. To the small business owner, I want you to pilot your plastic-free alternative and share your journey with the world. Show corporations that solutions like this can scale, and then use that momentum to hold them accountable to step up. And to anyone who feels like you're not green enough, we need your perspective the most, because you understand the barriers that most people are facing to not enter this conversation and can actually help us build real inclusive solutions that speak to your communities. My Lola never called herself an environmentalist. She didn't have the language for these fancy environmental terms, but she did understand something so critical that the environmental movement often forgets. Solutions need to speak to real people in real circumstances. We're not going to solve the plastic crisis by 2040 with technology alone. We need millions of communicators, folks that can translate today's possibilities into tomorrow's solutions, showing that better choices are within reach and that we as a collective have the power to demand for them. We need people who lead with heart. Because when you make people feel seen, it reminds them that they're a part of a bigger movement, a community, belonging to the earth itself. That is how true transformation begins. Thank you.